of preparation. God has been able to hold just a little longer, but we see with the events that this time is almost run itself out. Now, as we talk about this, we noticed the other night, Great Controversy tells us very clearly, it says, however strong may be our conviction, however confident we may be that the minister knows what of truth, this is not his foundation. He has a chart pointing out how much? Every waymark on the heavenward journey, and he ought not to guess at anything. We don't have to guess about these things. We can know it. Jesus said we can know the time. We read that, Romans 13:11. We found out when the time is near. We found out that when the son-in-law is passed, that is going to be the test that decides our eternal decision. Either you're going to receive the seal of God or the mark of the beast. After the son-in-law, there's no more time for remnant church to get ready. Still members in the Sunday churches, they're going to have an opportunity because they don't know what's happening. Are you with me? But for members in the remnant, it's time to get ready. So we're looking at the events that lead to the national son-in-law. We notice that Jesus has told us that the way that we're going to know where we are today, it says in Education 178, from eternity in the past to eternity in the future, it tells us what? Where we are today. So if we know everything that God has said on the heavenward journey, if we know the waymarks that are going to lead us unto heaven, until the final crisis, all the way through until we get to heaven, all we have to do is say, where are we? You know, if you were to go to a mall and you're trying to find a particular store, you go and they have those little, what do you call them things in the mall? They show you the map of the mall, the directory. And you go to the directory and you know what the directory says? You are here. Now, if you don't know where you are, you don't know where you're going. Is that right? So if you're trying to find a store, when you go to the directory, you look for where it says you are, then you begin to know where you're going next. Are you following me? So what we have to do is we study through the prophecies. We have to look at what did God say would happen. And then we have to look and say what has already happened that God said would take place. And what has not happened that he said was going to take place. And then we say, oh, that happened already, that happened already, that happened already. This did not happen, so we're here. But this has not happened yet. This has not happened yet. And this leads to the son-in-law. Are you following me? This is how we know where we are today. And it says all is going to be fulfilled in its order. Now, we studied through and we found, as we studied together, we found out that the son-in-law could not pass, according to Revelation 13, until America became the world remaining superpower. Is that right? How do we find that? Where in the Bible showed us that? Where in the Bible showed us that? Now, come on, don't my students, don't disappear on me now. We studied this for a week. Is that right? Revelation 13. What does it say? What does it say? 13:11. He had two horns like a lamb. He spake as a dragon. Now, where does that tell us that America had to become a superpower? We know that two-horned beast is America, but what does it say in verse 12? And the exercise of how much of the power? All of the power of the first beast before him, and cause of what? The earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. Now, if America is going to force the entire world, then what must America be? Must be a superpower. Is that right? When did America become the superpower? When Russia fell in 1990. Is that right? So we found out that it was after 1991 America became the superpower that we're to look for the son-in-law. And then we found that there were 6 great waymarks or events along with 1990 that will have to take place that will lead us to the passing of a national son-in-law. Is that right? What was the first one? We found out that the first thing was that the morals would have to go down in the United States of America. Is that right? Did this take place? When did it happen? 1960s. Is this why I made up, or is this history? You can trace on the page of history from 1776, since America declared their independence. You go forward, and you find that it wasn't until the 1960s that the morals began to go down. Is that right? In such a drastic proportion. I showed you, newspaper, everybody knows that when prayer was taken out of the school and all the rest, the nation just started going what? Down, down, down. Now, what was the next thing? Once we saw that, because we said all this, that it was going to lead you to the passing of the son-in-law, what was the second thing that would have to happen? Environmental disasters would have to increase drastically, more frequent and disastrous. Hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes. Did that start taking place? When did that really begin to take off? In the 1980s. And we said it had to happen in that order because if the storms had started before the morals went down, Satan would not be able to use it. But Satan made the morals go down first, so then he could say that God is sending these storms because he's upset that we have left God. Even now we say the insurance call them acts of God. Is that right? And so we begin to see that the storms begin to rise. Now, when the morals go down, it's not going to, in the 1990s, it didn't just say, well, God so stop and it's going to stop. The morals are going to keep going what? The storms are going to keep going up, but we are studying to see it had to come to a point where the people said enough. Even now, boy, I can't talk about that tonight because my time is getting away from me. You know, you have me talking here and I'm getting away from myself. But you know, I didn't remind me to talk to you about California. Remind me to talk to you about California tomorrow because there is a strange things happening right now. But that's another story. Let me keep moving because we got some ground to cover. Now, so it says, environmental disasters must increase drastically, more and more frequent and disastrous. That happened. These came to a point, it began to increase, and much until they begin to already say, they've been already saying this by 2005, the people start coming to a point where they start saying that it's because of the breaking of the Sunday Sabbath that these storms are coming. So people have already been talking about this, but we've been told that this would take place. What was number 3? The leading Protestant church would unite. We studied and showed in the Bible that would have to take place. Is that right? They would have to unite in order to form an image to the beast of the Roman Catholic Church or the Universal Church or the the one church that these leading churches make an image. They would have to, all these diversified Protestant churches would have to begin to do what? Now, for a long time, people thought that was impossible. They said all these divisions of Protestants, they would never come together. But as we saw last night, have they begun coming together? And what was the issue? They said the morality is so far. That God is so upset we have to do anything to overcome the moral issue. We saw that the fourth thing was that the Protestants and Catholics must unite. Now, for a long time, people said that could never happen. Because the very idea of Protestant is what? Protest, then. In other words, you're protesting what the Catholic Church was teaching that was not in harmony with the Bible. This is what Luther did. He rose up in holy zeal because the Catholic Church were doing things that were not in the Bible. He began to protest, and he started the Protestant Reformation, and all the other Protestant churches began to come out of that Protestant Reformation, church after church after church. We saw that. And it almost looked like they would never come back together, but we saw that by 1999, it said that it looked like it was about to end, didn't it? Then we noticed that by 2004 and 5, that the Catholics and Protestants made an alliance for the first time. Is that right? So, number 4 brought us to 2005. Is that right? But we're not in 2005 right now, are we? Where are we? So we need to know, where are we today? And I'm going to show you where we are today. Go in your Bible now to the book of Matthew. What book did I say? Matthew 24. Oh, brothers and sisters, the Bible gets so sweet when you understand it. Oh, it gets rich. You know, as I start going through this, I'm just thinking to myself, oh, man, this is beautiful. We're going to see what's taking place. We're going to see all that's coming, and we're going to say, Lord, should we wait for these things to happen before we will believe what God has said? Should we wait to talk about them, or should we show the transgressor how to get ready for what's coming? Now watch. We're going to the book of Matthew chapter 24. In Matthew 24, you know that this is the chapter that the disciples came to Christ and they said, tell us, what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? Is that right? And Jesus gave them clear signs. Now, he talked about some signs, if you remember. He talked about some signs. He said there'll be signs in the natural body. Signs where? In the sun. Where else? In the moon. Where else? And the stars. He told us that. Jesus himself, on that same place when he said, this generation shall not pass till we see all these things will be fulfilled. He talked about these signs, didn't he? The sun, the moon, and the stars. You read them in Matthew 24. He talks about them. He clearly told us that these things were going to take place. He clearly told us that all of these events would transpire. In fact, in 29, it says, immediately after the tribulation of those days, Matthew 24, 29, shall the sun be what? Darkened. And the moon shall not give her light. And the stars of heaven shall fall from the heaven. Is that right? Now, brothers and sisters, let me put this up before I go a little bit further on that point. In the bottom line, most people don't know how the Sunday law is coming. Bottom line, most people think that the Sunday law is going to come from the top to the bottom. They think that a president is going to get in, and president gets in, and he's just going to change the law, make a Sunday law. But you know the Bible and Spirit prophecy don't talk like that. The Sunday law will not come from the bottom to the top, from the top to the bottom. The Sunday law is actually going to come, guess where? From the bottom to the top. Listen to what this says. Could you read this with me? What did it say? The dignitaries of churches. Who are the dignitaries? These are leaders, is that right? The dignitaries of church and state will do what? Unite to bribe, persuade, or compel all classes to honor Sunday. The lack of divine authority will be supplied by oppressive enactments. In other words, they won't have Bible for it, so they'll start doing something else with the government to start persuading you. Are you with me? Political corruption is destroying love of justice and regard for the truth. Do we see political corruption today? People are beginning to lose trust in politicians because of this. Now this says, and even where? In free America, rulers and legislators, in order to secure the public favor, will yield to the popular demand for a law enforcing Sunday service. Question: what does yield mean? So if a person gives in, they are not the instigators of it. Is that right? So if it says that even in free America, rulers and legislators will yield, it means that somebody else is pushing the buttons. So we don't have to look and see if the president is going to send it down or some strange bill that is secretly moving through Congress. That is not how the Sunday law is coming. Rulers and legislators are going to yield to what? What does popular mean? That's the majority. That's what everybody wants. The popular demand for a law enforcing Sunday observance. So the people, the masses of America, are going to be demanding the legislators and the rulers. They're going to demand, we want a Sunday law, the populace. Are you with me? Now this is very interesting because the majority of Americans today are not even going to church. Is that right? So how is it going to be the popular demand? This is what we have to figure out right now. I'm going to show you. What is it? Because right now the majority of Americans are not going to any church, not Saturday or Sunday. And so what is going to happen to make the regular common person who doesn't care anything about God or church, what is going to make the common person want a national Sunday law? Because it's going to be a popular demand. This is what it said. And rulers and legislators, they're going to yield to it. And then it says, liberty of conscience, which has caused so great a sacrifice, will no longer be what? Respected. Now let me put another thing up here. I'm hashing this out. I'm not going to be able to finish it all tonight, but I have to put more things down so we can put the pieces together.